go to page 57 in your journal and get the definition for completing the square. Then take a look at the core concept for this section. It's on completing the square. You can read about the definition and look at the picture, but we're going to write an example. So what this means is that if you have an equation and you have x squared plus 8x. To complete the square, you're going to divide 8 by 2, so 4, then square it, 16, and you'll add that to both sides. So if we had, equals 0, we would add 16 to both sides, and that would complete the square. Another example would be if we had something like x squared plus 4x minus 5. If we wanted to complete the square here, we would set this equal to 0, add the 5 over so that we have x squared plus 4 equals 5, and then complete the square by dividing 4 by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and then square it. Oh, I forgot the x. So it's 4x plus 4, and then I would add 4 to this side, so I'd have x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 9. And then you could rewrite it as x plus 2 all squared equals 9. Now let's take a look at your example in your notes. So now we're looking at a quadratic equation and it says solve using square roots. But we don't see just x squared over here. There's an x term, so normally we wouldn't do it this way. But because 64 is a perfect square, we can rewrite the left-hand side as x minus square root of 64, 8, all squared, equals 100. Now, this looks like something we've seen before. We take the square root of both sides. What do I put in front? Yeah, plus or minus square root of 100. And what's the square root of 100? Yeah, so we're going to get plus or minus 10. Then we have to add 8 to both sides. When I do this, I get x equals 8 plus or minus 10. So my one answer will be 8 plus 10, and my other answer will be 8 minus 10. So what are my two answers? So I should get 18 and negative 2. Now look at example 2. Making a perfect square trinomial. So sometimes we're not going to have a perfect square trinomial, but we can complete the square and make it happen. So if I have x squared plus 14x and I want to figure out what c is, I take my b term, which is 14, and I divide it by 2, and then I square it. So that would be 7 squared, which is 49. So I'll have x squared plus 14x plus 49, and we can write that as x plus 7 all squared, and we'll say my c is 49. So we found c for my perfect square trinomial, and then when you write it as the square of a binomial, that is this part here, x plus 7 all squared. So x plus 7 is a binomial, and we squared it. Just remember that saying this is the same thing as saying x plus 7 and x plus 7, but now we're writing it the fancier way.